Question 17 really helps tie aspects of the units together, and you'll find that when you work through questions 18, 19 and 20, it gets you to look at the data, compare the two sets of data, and in some instances test some of the so-called conclusions out. Or better still, make some of your own. Now in this particular problem, you're looking at 20 boxes of breakfast cereal, two different brands. Both advertise a content of 500 grams. Now our job here is to see if one could be better value, purchase-wise, than the other. The first thing you're asked to do is to produce in a back-to-back stem plot using a class size of 5. So you can see it there, my key, a bit squished up in the left-hand corner, and straight away you can see that the Cornbeck's data is very, very tight. In other words, we don't have much variation. A lot of boxes came in at 100, none came in less than 495, and only a couple came in over 505. On the other hand, the Morning Crunch distribution seems to be all round the shop. I reckon whilst we've got an okay median, we've got a very low score, and there could even be potential of outliers in this particular analysis. So what we do, we enter the data onto our calculators as before. So quite a big distribution there. Showing the answer, shouldn't do that. So you can see the distribution there for the 20 boxes. Next step, we set the graph. I have to fire up graph 1 and fire up graph 2 and look at the settings. Now I'm going to make that the median box, and you notice here I've ticked the outlier. Now because we've got two sets of data, that of the Cornbeck's and that of the Morning Crunch, I have to also fire up my median box for list 2. You'll have to set that. Make sure the outlier is ticked. Press set, and we'll have a look at the two graphs. Now, analysis of this graph, first one here shows that for the first cereal, the Cornbeck's, there are actually a couple of outliers. The vast majority fitting within a very small interquartile range. Once again, we want to have a look at those guys. We go to the analysis. Just resize that. So I've got 495 the minimum, 498.5 the lower quartile, the median at 500, 501, 503. Now you notice here there are two extreme values at 507 and 508. So they must be greater than the quartile 3 plus 1.5 lots of the interquartile range. Looking at the other one, you can see I've got a very wide distribution. I could buy a box advertised at 500, weighing as much as 520. Now that's pretty extreme. The upper quartile here, 517.5, 508, 495 the lower quartile, the minimum at 482. Your task then would be to use that, the graph in front of you there, to design your box plot. Now I've already done that. You can see here I've indicated the two outliers for the Cornbeck's at 507 and 508. Now, I'm then asked in part C to put an argument such that Cornbeck's would be the best breakfast cereal. Now with Cornbeck's, I've got reliability here. I'm almost guaranteed to buy a box. Over 50% are going to be between 500 and 503 grams or thereabouts. And likewise, I'm very unlikely to buy boxes that are even less than 1% less than the advertised mass. The Morning Crunch, when it comes to an advertisement for that, I'd have to talk about a higher median. Over 50% of the boxes contain more than 500 grams. I'd be a little disappointed if I got a 482 gram box, but still, the odds are I will have 75% of my boxes 495 grams or more. Bit of a lucky dip, and I'll just show you the answer I've come up with there for the Morning Crunch. High median, and over 50% of the packets are of mass 500 grams or more. Matter of fact, I could have said over 50% or over 508 grams. But in a bit of excitement, Morning Crunch, Corn Bix a bit more reliable. I'd like you now to work through 17 and then go through the last 3 questions. At that stage, you should be ready to send your second assignment back and then, of course, have a go at the unit test. All the best for the rest of the unit.